It's Sunday evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which means you are logged on to Love Bay Radio, your number one Caribbean and Afrobeat music radio and talk station. And you're joining me, host Nadia Headley, for community conversations, as we usually get into real, honest, and deep conversations every Sunday here together because we love spending this time knowing that we are going to be learning together so that we can find more ways to improve our communities across the world. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Do us a favor. Let us know where you are tuning in from. Say hello. Tell me if you love the show. Tell me if you think the show is terrible. Tell me whatever your thoughts are. But today, as I hope we've been delivering to you for the last several months. I'm hoping that we bring a really strong show for you this afternoon once again. If you are joining us on radio, do you know that you could also be watching us live? That's right. We are also streaming directly to YouTube, directly to Facebook, and often to LinkedIn. So if you are listening to us, then you can actually join us and watch us live as we bring our various guests to you. Now, it is February, and as we mentioned last week with the Watson family, February, we all know, is Love Month, right? With Valentine's Day right smack bang in the middle. And in North American countries, I'm not sure where else, if you celebrate Black History Love in your country, please drop us a comment below on YouTube and let us know where you are and how you celebrate Black History Month. But it is Black History Month in North American countries in February, and in Canada, we have a special day in February called Family Day. And so all throughout the month of February, we are supporting Black family love. We brought everything together as we tend to do with a little bit of sauce and spice here on Love Bay Radio. And so we've had the extreme pleasure of meeting with different families who are leading organizations together, whether for profit or nonprofit, so that we can share what Black family love looks like in our community and what contribution looks like in our community so that we can inspire you and your beautiful Black family to share the love. And right now, let's go into what's going on because we need to know what's going on out there in the world. And if you are an entrepreneur, your logo could have flashed up on my YouTube screen. If you want that to happen, connect with us here at Love Bay so that you can join us when we move from segment to segment. This could have been presented by your business and heard by thousands across the world. Now, in what's going on, I want to share with you. So, once again, if you're listening on radio, we are actually going to bring up on screen now on our YouTube channel. Go back and catch the replay, YouTube at Love Bay Radio. But I'm going to share my screen here with you, and production is going to pull up on screen so that we can look at different ways that Black family love can be expressed. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys today is, for those of us who are spread throughout the African diaspora in different countries, a lot of us have questions about, well, what does it mean, to find home, to go home, to establish ourselves at home? And a lot of us feel really disconnected, really foreign to the African continent through, years of about 400 to 500 years between us and our closest African relative. And so, when we think about things like starting a business, well, it's hard enough to start a business right where you are. Could you imagine starting a business somewhere in Africa when Africa feels so far physically and so far mentally because it's just something that we don't know? So there's this really cool website called howwemadeItInAfrica.com. It's pretty self-explanatory. And the particular article that I'm sharing here talks about one woman's journey in Zambia, beginning, a business there, right, as an entrepreneur. And when we talk about starting a business where we are, we don't always think about, how, not just how easy is it to get the business up and running, but how easy is it to balance life and business. And for those of us who have taken the even bolder leap of including family members in our organizations, well, how much more nerve wracking could that possibly be? And she shared that when she started her entrepreneurship journey, it was fraught with uncertainty, right? Because it's really, really terrifying at the beginning. Admitting that when you move far away from a job where you get paid every month, you're losing that job security when you go into entrepreneurship. And I mean, that's true no matter where you are in the world. Despite her extensive experience in the financial sector, the prospect of starting business with her own capital felt really daunting. And for any of us who understand startup life, well, yeah, it's pretty terrifying. Now you're launching out on your own. You're launching into the deep. You're bringing your idea to the world, and you're not quite sure, well, is this going to work? Is this going to flop? Is this going to be a miserable mistake? How can you make sure that you're successful in the business that you're trying to create? But she talks about, having to discuss business with her family, hearing her family's concerns, which she understood were valid, hearing her family's doubts, which again she validated, but then knowing within herself that she needed to do this. She needed to do it with her partner. They needed to risk it all to bring this business to life, with all their savings, selling their home and their cars, and put everything into this business. Now, could you imagine you and your partner just being able to say, this matters? I had great fortune of being mentored by Jared Wilkinson, who has built multi-million-dollar businesses across the world. And his platform that he created was called Build It for Your Last Name. And it was the idea that for many of us in the Black community outside of Africa, most of us can't trace further back than maybe our great grandparents. And even then, you might only have a first name. You might not even have a last name if you're able to trace it back. But for us, we now need to create for our future. And so you can hustle today for your first name, which means you can turn over some products and make some quick cash, or you can be patient and you can build it for your last name and create a new legacy from here on. So when you think about Black family love, I am encouraging you to think beyond your immediate family right here, right now with you, and think even further about the family that is coming after you for generations to come. Black family love is resilient, my friends. Black family love is absolutely beautiful. And we want more of it so that we can share more of it with the world. And today we have such an amazing example of Black family love with the Springer family, who are working all together at the Olive Branch of Hope, which was founded in 2001 by breast cancer survivors Leela Springer, who joins us today, and Winsome Johnson. Their mission is to support and empower our diverse community facing cancer challenges. The Olive Branch of Hope, or as it's called, TOBO, is dedicated to serving women of African Caribbean heritage and culturally diverse backgrounds, providing support and solidarity in the cancer journey. Remember that the Olive Branch of Hope is a symbol of hope and strength, and no one going through this journey has to go through it alone. TOBO is on a mission to provide support, resources, and programs to increase awareness about cancer and its impact within a diverse community, advocate on behalf of those who feel voiceless within our communities, encourage open dialogue, and challenge policymakers to improve research methods and healthcare policies, and to provide a friendly and safe environment for individuals to share their experiences, build a support system, and learn healing and coping strategies during and after a cancer diagnosis. The Springer family joining us today fully understands the ups and downs of life as they have journeyed through many challenges themselves, including the breast cancer diagnosis of mom, Leela, who'll share a bit of her story with us in a bit. Leela is joined by her children, Derek and Kathy, as they work together to give back to the community. They work as volunteers to lead the Olive Branch of Hope, through which they support women with breast cancer in Canada. Join us now as we learn from this family as to how it is possible to overcome such a hardship and turn it into an inspiration for generations to come. Welcome up with me, the Springer family. Leela Springer, Derek Springer are going to join me live on stage with Kathy Springer. Thank you
Mhm.
all so very much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Nadia. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Leela, I told your not so big secret, so I'm hoping that you'll share with us a little bit about your journey with breast cancer and how you came to begin the Olive Branch of Hope.
Well, a diagnosis of cancer, regardless of what kind it is, the first thing that you feel when you're told those words, you have breast cancer, which is the type of cancer that I had. Um, it was very daunting. I mean, I always thought that breast cancer was a disease that only white people got. And the reason I thought that was when I saw all the commercials and advertisements and anything around breast cancer when it came to October or close to October, um, was all white women. I didn't see any black women. So I thought, okay, so black women are disposed to sickle cell disease. So maybe um, breast cancer is something that only white people get. And then I got it. And what a shock. What a shock that was. I had walked into the doctor's office thinking, because I'd had a lump in my breast before, years before. And when I walked into the doctor's office on that day, funny enough, that day the anniversary is coming up, and that was on February the 22nd, um, 2001 was when I was told those fateful words. And I walked into the doctor's office, and I kind of thought that he would just tell me, like the previous doctor had said, everything's okay. Life is gonna be normal. You're gonna, go back to life as usual. Well, unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So I, I remember that day thinking to myself, okay, so what do I do now? What is this? I mean, one of the things, I mean, this happened in actually it wasn't 2001. It's 2001 when the Olive Branch of Hope was birthed. But when I heard those words, it was 1999. So I finished the decade of the 90s with a diagnosis of breast cancer. So I thought to myself, okay, so what am I gonna do now? When they told me that, he said, he said to me, now sit there, and the nurse is gonna come in, and she's gonna talk to you. Well, that nurse walked in with a big bulging binder, and all she had to tell me was, no one is going to notice what it is. It doesn't have any labels on it. Nobody's going to know what it is. So I didn't open that binder until I opened it on the train, and I opened it and shut it real fast until I got home. And then I opened it and I thought, I know, I don't need to see this. I just can't bear, to even look to see what this is all about. So I didn't. And that was the beginning, of a very, very terrifying journey. Not only, was the diagnosis hard, and I think the hardest thing was when the doctor said, you're going to have to do treatment, chemotherapy, and then radiation. And I thought to myself, oh my God, all of these things that I have to go through. And I thought to myself, okay, so that was the beginning. That was the beginning, of what for me, of what it was like. Questions?
And I mean, talk about that moment when you were on the train. Why did you shut it back so fast? What was it about what you saw in that glimpse?
I don't even remember what I saw. To be very honest, I do not remember what I saw. I remember, if I wanted to backtrack a bit, when I went to the doctor, and I had to see. I saw 4 doctors before I was finally told I had breast cancer. I mean, for those doctors, it was just a cyst. It's just a cyst, nothing to worry about. All I have to do is put a needle in, pop it. The fluid is going to come out, and you're going to be fine. Except that when he put the needle in and tried to pop it, it did not pop. And that was okay now. So what's this? Um, so when she said to me, "I'm going to give you this binder," and I'm like, "I send this binder. Is this binder is going to talk about breast cancer, all about breast cancer, and tell me I'm going to die and all of those things?" And I thought, no, I don't want to see that. So I sat on the train, it felt like a very, very, very long train ride. A train ride that is usually only about half an hour. It felt like forever before I got back to the parking lot where I had left my car. And I sat down in the car, and I literally, literally, literally broke down. Literally. I don't think my children ever heard this part of my story. I'm sorry, guys. And when I caught myself, then I said, okay. And I drove home. I proceeded to drive home. Except that I can't tell you if I saw a red light, a green light, a yellow light. I can't tell you if I saw a stop sign. I don't know. I literally cannot tell anybody how I actually got home. But I got home, I opened the door, and my second son was home. He was in university, so he was getting ready to leave for school. And I burst through the door, went into my room, and I started one good cry. And he heard me. And he came in and he said, "Okay, mom, what's wrong? You just came from the doctor. What did the doctor say?" And I did not answer him. It was terrifying. And but every time I talk about my diagnosis of breast cancer, my journey of breast cancer, how it was, and how difficult it was, I'm going to tell you that one of the persons that was really, really, what can I say? She was she was very comforting, and that was my daughter-in-law at the time. When she came home, I mean, I finally told my husband, and then she came home, and then she asked me a lot of questions. And she was so helpful. She was like, "Okay, mom, now when are you going back to the doctor? I'm coming with you when you are going back to the doctor." Because I could not tell her what the doctor said. I really couldn't. And she was asking me all of these questions, and I know it was all, you know, she had my what am I gonna say? My best interest at heart by asking me the questions she was asking me. Except that at the time, I don't know if I didn't know the answer or if I didn't feel like diving into it. Maybe a bit of both. And then when I had my next appointment, which was 2 weeks away, she actually came with me with her notebook and her phone and everything. She came well prepared. And when the doctor started to talk, she was asking the questions. I was listening because I really didn't know what questions to ask. I could not tell anybody actually what was going on in my head at the time. And that's why I always tell people never go to the doctor. When you go for for results, don't go to the doctor alone because you're not going to be able to decipher what the doctor is telling you. And then you may agree to some kind of treatment that if you were in your right mind, you really wouldn't have agreed to. But she did it all for me. And then she came back and she did all the research and she did everything. And look, I don't know how she got all that information, but she did. And to tell you, to be very honest with you, that was really good for me. It was it was good to know that there was somebody there that I could talk to, and somebody there that understood my state of mind that I was in at the time, and stood up for me and asked the questions that I couldn't ask. you know um those were difficult days. But I know that I remember that I had a friend that was diagnosed with breast cancer years prior. And I called her and I said, I just got diagnosed with breast cancer. And she said, oh, she said, but you don't have to worry. You know the Lord. Huh. This is what we do. You know the Lord, so you know you're going to be okay. And now, like, I know the Lord. I know I'm a Christian, but what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do I handle this now? Uh, uh, God is there, but He's in the spirit realm. I can't touch Him. I can't feel Him. I can't skim and get an actual answer. Have a conversation back and forth. So I need that person that I can talk to, and tell them what I'm going through, ask them some questions that were troubling me, and have them kind of comfort me. Where is this one person, in the Black community? You look like me, you went through breast cancer, you came through it. Where are you? You are the person that I want to talk to right now. I didn't know where that person was, because nobody in our community at the time, back in 1999, I mean, they don't talk about it now. It was worse in 1999, So it was a very, very, very difficult time for me.
Mm-hmm. And what a way to welcome Y2K, right? I mean, at that point in time, I was itty bitty, but I remember everybody was wondering if the computer was going to work on January 1st, and you had very different concerns going into a new millennium. Kathy, what was that like for you? What was it like to see your mother going through breast cancer treatment and pulling through at the end?
For me, it was hard for me to see her because, like my mom said, when you hear about cancer, it was always white people you saw on the news, like on the ads and stuff. It was never a black face. And to hear when she told us that she had breast cancer, I was numb. I didn't even respond. I don't think my two siblings responded either, and we never really talked about it. But as a female, I was always wondering, is my mom gonna be here? Is she gonna survive this? But I always knew that she would because she was a Christian, she believed in God. So for me, it was heart wrenching at first, but then after I learned to I read upon it and talked to other people, but I didn't know how to express myself. But as I read somewhere, then saw my mom, and I couldn't help her when she was going through the pain, but I was able to help her with other stuff like making her juices, make sure she's okay. If she needs something, be there for her, be the support that she needed at the time while she was going through all her different treatments and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine, what that is like to be the person close to mom, and how much of it did you, by the time you feel like you processed, um, how much of that fear did you carry? Like, how did you get through day-to-day activities with that fear, running through you? And come a little closer to mom. Let's see you.
For me, at that time I was in school as well. So I had my best friend, someone I will talk to her about it, and she always tried to encourage me that my mom will be okay. She always gave me comforting words to let me know my mom will be okay. And I believe that. It's just that seeing my mom go through all the different stages of it, it was hard. Yes, sometimes I used to cry, but I used to always internalize. I'm the type of person who internalize stuff. I never talk about anything. I always kept it to myself. But I had my best friend who we can talk to. And when somebody will see me not talking, she, you sure you're okay? I'm like, yeah, I am. But she always encouraged me. And that kept me going.
Mhm.
That I had someone I can talk to when I needed to talk.
Yeah, I want our listeners and our viewers, if you're joining us live on YouTube, to really hear about the breadth of community that is needed when one person is diagnosed. Leela has family around her, but then each family member needs their own circle of support around them to get through it. Because, as I tend to say often, breast cancer might infect one body, but it affects an entire family. And so, we need full community coming around, not just the person diagnosed, but people surrounding them. Derek, from your experience, what do you think Black men need to help them cope with a breast cancer diagnosis for women in their life that they love?
Just from my experience and see my mother go through it, and I'll also say, in having worked with the organization now for a number of years, I think one of the first things that is important for us as men is really seeking to get help ourselves first of all, to try and understand even how to begin sort of processing our own emotional response, and how to respond to it. And when I say get help, that could mean, number one, in terms of, as a person of faith as well, spiritual faith, or going to, whether it's a pastor, whomever within your spiritual circle can help you to, kind of deal with the emotions that you're feeling. I think that is important, because we need to have our own cup full before we can try and help those around us. And I think sometimes the immediate reaction, as men, always is to, okay, so what do I do, or what can I do to try and fix this? And sometimes trying to, fix things isn't necessarily always the right approach. I think it's really taking the time to ask more questions and understand what the person needs. What does, my mother need? How can I help? And just sort of, taking that lead in terms of what they're saying that they need, during the time or at the time, and trying to, provide, that level of, support. And the other thing I would say, and this is probably more so over the years that I've come to learn, having, again, working with the organization and talking to a number of different women now who have gone through breast cancer, and looking at, how, we, as men can support. I would also say that, sometimes, you don't always have to have an answer, or you don't always have to, try and, say something that may be encouraging. Sometimes it's okay just to be silent and just to be present, just to be there. You don't have to say anything or do anything, just be present, be there. And it could just be a hug. And sometimes that, that may just be enough, on a given day. The other thing I would also say is, just a support circle. I at the time, when I think back about, when my mother was going through cancer, I don't think I knew any, of my friends who had anyone, a mother that was going through cancer. So there really wasn't like anybody, I could really talk to, because I didn't know anyone, another guy, another son at the time who was going through it. But I would say now, certainly, looking to find, other men or other individuals or sons or whoever it may be that, may have a, an auntie or a mother who is going through it, and having conversations with them, I think is helpful and important, as well, to try and do that, to understand, or better understand, how you can support. The last thing I would say is, also to, educate yourself as well about, the diagnosis, to get a better understanding of, what it means and what the implications are, so that you are, better informed, as well, and understanding, so that when you're seeing, your mother, your partner, your auntie going through what they're going through, it also provides a little bit more of a better perspective and understanding of why you're seeing, or helping to understand, why you're seeing what you're seeing, and things like that, so that, the fear that may sometimes creep in, doesn't reach a, a certain level. I remember my mother was going through her treatment. There was a period when, I can't remember if it was a chemo or radiation, but her skin literally went the color of her hair. It was like black. Her nails were black. And I didn't say anything at the time, but I was I was a little freaked out. I'll be honest with you, when I saw it, it was really frightening. But that I came to learn after a period of time that that's one of the after effects or side effects of treatment. So it's things like that. Trying to educate yourself. Just not trying to fix. Just be present. Ask. What type of support or how you can support, and just do that to the best of your ability is what I would say.
Absolutely. Do you mind sharing your age when this was happening with your mom? Just
You're gonna ask me to do math. You're gonna ask me to do math. I was, oh my, what was it? I guess I was in my 30s.
I just wanted to pull out for people. Imagine how jarring that was for you in your 30s.
Yeah.
Imagine, children who are younger watching their mother go through these physical changes, how terrifying that could be for a child as well. And so we look at the circles around the individual who is diagnosed with breast cancer, and all of the different layers of support that everyone else around would need. Because generally speaking, the woman at the center is usually the person taking care of all of these people, right? And so easing her burden is by helping her take care of all of these people too. And how much more, how much simpler of a journey could it have been for you if you had that community of, and like you said, men, right? Because y'all communicate in a different way, right? Like without words, just grunts and basketball or whatever, right? Y'all, you have your own way of getting through things. And so support for men would look very different than support for women, right? We will get together, we'll talk and we'll cry and we'll have some tea and, we'll get through it. But looking at those different layers of support, I want all of our listeners to really pay attention, because you may be close to or just a couple maybe layers away from someone who's been diagnosed. And we are here sharing with you all the different ways that you can be present, all the different ways that you can be supportive, remembering the admonition, don't try to fix it. That's the doctor's job. But there's so many ways that you can be involved. Leela, now that you have gone through this hard thing with your family, and you started the Olive Branch of Hope, and your grown adult children are working with you at the Olive Branch of Hope, what is the legacy that you hope they will continue on through the organization?
The reason I started the organization, let me start there, was through all of, when at the beginning, and you heard me talk about at the beginning when I didn't see any black faces or any of those things, and I needed people. Excuse me. I needed people. I needed somebody to talk to, and for me, I would hate to know that the voice of the Olive Branch of Hope went silent because I wasn't there. I would like to see it continue to help somebody else that need to hear a comforting word, to be able to plug into a group of women, that we usually call sisterhood. Oh, how are you doing? How are you? What are you going through? Did you know about this kind of treatment? And what was your reaction? Did it affect you in this way and that way? I want the Olive Branch of Hope to be a voice that remains throughout. That's the legacy that I would like to leave. Yes, having the organization is good, and I try to partner with other organizations, because no, I don't believe any one person could do this alone. But we have a hard time, as Black women, getting people to understand who we really are. Um, I'm not even sure people always try to understand us. They draw their conclusions from the time they see us show up. They see us show up, and they have their own conclusion. Oh yeah, that's a Black woman there. She's got a high tolerance for pain. She can wait, and those kind of things. Oh no, she can deal with this. So it's okay. Let me look after Jane over here, and I'd like to see that change. Don't draw a conclusion. I have this thing about see me, hear me, feel me, and then you can care for me. You know, that's what I work on now. When you see me, really see who I am. I'm a human being. I'm an individual. See me. I want you to see me first before you start drawing conclusions about who I am when you haven't even spoken to me. Hear my complaints. Hear what I'm going through. Listen to my story. That is important. It's these things that I want. These are the gaps that I want the Olive Branch of Hope to fill. I mean, there are a lot of people now. I know since the George Floyd episode, everybody's running around saying, "Oh yes, can I partner with you? Can I join? I want to help. I want to do this," and everybody's applying for money hither, thither, and yon to help black people, help black women. Do you know these women? Have you gone into the community to find out about these women? What do they like? I mean, how do they cope with pain? How do when they get a diagnosis of any kind of illness? How do they respond? Where do they go first? Who understands their story? I mean, have you tried to understand, or is it just let me get the money and then I go look for the people to help me do what I think I should do? And that's what's happening a lot. Everybody is going and they get the money, we don't, and then it is a matter of can I partner with you now to help me on this project? Like, why should I partner with you? Like, why? The thing is, you should know me before you apply for that money. Not you go apply for that money and tell them that you want to do this when you don't know who we are. I mean, a lot of a lot of a lot of people don't know who we are. Don't try to know who we are. If we walk into a room and we are still ignored, nobody is collaborating with us on a regular basis, on a certain level. No, they don't want to do that. What I'm saying, and I mean, and this is across the board. This is not. I'm not saying this that it goes out to any particular um, um, population. I am saying that all of us, we talk about community. What makes up a community? Okay, we talk about the black community. When we talk about the black community, we know what we are talking about. We know the kind of food we cook. We know that, when we are going to have an event, there's certain things that you need to have there, because there's certain things, if you don't have them there, black people are not going to come. No, we are not going to come. Don't ask us certain questions because we are not going to answer. Don't try to find out too much because you're asking me and then you disappear. You understand? So we are going to be here. I want us to be here, to answer the questions that no one else is answering. That's what I want for the Olive Branch of Hope. I don't want us ever. I don't ever want us to be a voice that is silenced for any reason at all. Let's stand up for each other. Let's be there for each other. Cancer is a difficult thing to face. And I'm telling you, when I started the Olive Branch of Hope, I started it because I woke up one morning and there was no one there to help me. My kids had gone off to school. My husband had gone off to work. I could not even pick up the phone and call anybody at all and say, this is what I'm going through. I tried. They tell me, oh, yes, you're a Christian, you're a woman of faith, you're going to be okay. I called every church in the city. Do you have a group? Is there anybody there? And none of them had it. None. So they could not help me. Because when I'm told, I called. There was an organization that was on every morning. I think it used to come on at 9 o'clock. People calling in to get help and getting healing and all of that. I called in, and they couldn't help me. They said, "Well, maybe you're the one that's supposed to find this this whatever it is I'm going to find that would help other people. And they were right, because nobody else was doing it. And when I was at school, they told me marketing is about finding a need and filling it. Yeah, that's what I was taught. So there I was. I needed to do some marketing. You use up my skills. Here is a need. Nobody is doing anything about it, but I can help find a solution now, because there's a gap. There's a gap, and it needed to be filled. Um, I said this so many times now. I don't want the voice of the olive branch of folk to be silenced. So I am happy that my children have joined me. I'm happy for the friends that have joined me. I'm happy for the associates that have joined me. Those that were there. I can't even say that they were all there for me, because I hardly saw anybody when I was going through, and chemotherapy was brutal. It literally was brutal, because they said to me, we are giving you the strongest that we have because you're young. Oh, well, that wasn't too helpful to me. You're young, so let me just pump you up with, the strongest of whatever I have. I hope that you overcome it, because we already know that you can stand pain. So let's give you this one. And so when there was nobody there for me, that's when I decided, I said, okay, God, I have to do something about this, because I don't want anybody else to come along and have to face cancer the way I'm facing it right now, alone.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Leela. And, for so many of us watching, friends, if you are watching right now, if you are listening to us on the radio and you feel like you are completely alone in a breast cancer diagnosis, whether for yourself or a loved one, I'm encouraging you to connect with the Olive Branch of Hope, connect with Leela and the leadership there, and wrap yourself in the love and the support and the hope that is being offered, because like Leela, we do not want you to be going through this journey on your own. And you can go over to www.theolivebranch.ca, where you can connect and find out more. And if you are trying to find ways to help, there are tons of ways that you can volunteer. You can donate. You can join in to see how you could lead programs. You can sponsor any of the upcoming events. There are tons of ways that you can get involved. Now, Kathy, you volunteer with the organization. Tell us a bit about all the hard work that you do as a volunteer at the Olive Branch of Hope.
Hard work. Okay. I'm on the events committee of the Olive Branch of Hope. There are five of us, and there is the events that we normally take care of. There's a gala, that coming gala on April the 6th. We have the gala that's coming up. And
August.
And in August, there's the lovely walkathon, the 5K we do every year. And that is fun. I'm always the leader of the pack there. That's the last Saturday in August before the long weekend in September.
Yes. And then there are the other educational programs that we have, that the events team. I know she's drawing a blank right now, and that happens to me too. But um, we run a lot of educational programs, because I found that there was a lot of things that our community did not know. They weren't aware of a lot of the different side effects, the treatments. They weren't aware of so much things, and so we run a lot of educational programs, and the events committee are the ones that coordinate that one. We partner. I'm sorry that I'm taking it out of
No,
your
you
hands.
go right ahead. You're doing great, because I fumbling on that one.
We have a lot of partners across the city, and we are now partnering with several different hospitals, and so we have to plan those events as well. And Derek can tell more about them than I can. But there's so much work to be done, so much. And that if you have some time of your hands on your hands, and you're in Toronto, even if you're not in Toronto, I mean, with the internet now, we can work from anywhere. So if you want to help us, and give us a shout. Nadia just told you how you can do that by going to our website, www.theolivebranch.ca, and send us a note, and someone will definitely get back in touch with you. um, in my journey with the Olive Branch of Hope, from its inception until this day, I remember how many times I wanted to give up. I wanted to give up so many times. And then, and when I tell people this, they just look at me and they go, "I'm so glad you didn't give up," because it was so hard. It was so hard to find anyone that was willing to talk about their experience. And you need people to talk about their experience. We need you to tell your story. Your story is who you are. Your story is what makes you. I mean, if you watch any program, and people come on it, they say, "Let me hear what you were going through," like what we are doing now. Your story is what makes a difference, and we need you to help encourage others to share their stories. So yes, there's a lot of ways in which you can volunteer and to help us do the work that we are doing.
So
And it's very satisfying. I gotta tell you, it's very satisfying. It's not you don't just come on and say, "Oh yeah, I'm out here and it's so boring." No, we are not boring at all. We have plenty of work that we can do.
awesome. And so we know that the gala is coming up on April 6th. We know that there's a walk coming up the last Saturday of August. And there are many other events that you can support. You can buy your tickets for the gala, get your table, invite your friends, your community, your business associates. And for the walk, sign up, register so that you can get your walk team and, finally beat Giselle. That's my goal every year at the walk, is to try to beat Giselle when my donations come in. No, Derek, Leela alluded to earlier. Tell us a bit about some of the work that you're doing. Tell us about your professional background and how you're leveraging that to support the Olive Branch of Hope and some of the work you have coming up.
Yeah, as Leela mentioned, there's a lot that's happening and planned for this year. I will say that we certainly, as she said, we need funding, donations. So again, if you see value in what we do, I do encourage everyone to support us. But as far as myself, I mean, my background is in IT. I'm an IT project manager. I've also worked in marketing operations in the past for quite some time. So for me, I'm pretty much utilizing everything I've learned and gained in experience over the years, with the organization. I work with the team on the marketing and communication side. So we handle all of the social media, platforms and updates and creative work there. And the website as well, which we're working on right now. And we also, support the implementation of new programs. So one of the things that we're focused on for this year is on the younger Black women. We're seeing a higher number of younger women in general, being diagnosed with breast cancer. We're seeing a lot more younger Black women being diagnosed. So we started a few new initiatives this year to target and to let those younger women, who are out there who are being diagnosed, know that we have programs and different events that they can participate in. We kicked off a new campaign called Pink Fridays, which involves, Pink Friday socials, where we get together periodically on a Friday in a very informal sort of type of format. We have music, we have a DJ, have some food, and we have some speakers just talking about a variety of different, lifestyle based, topics that would be hopefully helpful to, women who are impacted by breast cancer. We're also working with hospitals within the different regions. And this is probably one of our biggest and most important programs. It started with the Scarborough Health Network in 2023, where we hosted all-day event that included the ability and opportunity for women, whether or not they had health insurance or not, they could come out on that day, and if they qualify, they can get screened. So, and we also had seminars that we're hosting. So our next breast health awareness and screening event is being held at Credit Valley Hospital on March the 1st. It is a free event, and again, anyone who qualifies can register to get screened. Whether or not you have health insurance, you can get screened that day. So we do encourage anyone in the Peel region to come out to that event, to participate, either to get screened or just to listen and participate in some of the informative seminars we're going to have. We also have another breast health and awareness and screening event that we're hosting with Lake Ridge Health Hospital in Oshawa. So the date for that is May the 3rd. So that one, we're just starting to kick off the planning. So we'll be promoting that, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the coming weeks. But that's the other big event. And we're also hoping to and looking to, if we can get the support, funding wise, to do a breast health and awareness and screening event in the Niagara St. Catharines region. There's a growing African Caribbean population out there, so we're certainly looking to hopefully create an initiative to host an event out in the Niagara St. Catharines region at some point later on this year, and then we'll be back at this, hopefully at the Scarborough Health Network in October. So those again, breast health awareness and screening events are one of our most important events. And in addition to that, we have some other great partners that we're working with, to host a number of different workshops that we have coming up. But the other big event that we have, which has already been mentioned, is our Sowing the Seeds of Hope fundraising gala on April the 6th. We are looking for sponsors to that event. So if there's any local businesses out there who are looking to potentially support our organization, and to also gain some expanded exposure for their business, would love to hear from you. So please go to our website if there is an interest there to partner or to sponsor for the Sowing the Seeds of Hope fundraising gala on April 6th. That would be great. And as I mentioned, there's a number of different initiatives that we have coming up this year, with a lot of them focused, as I said, to address the trend that we're seeing in younger women getting diagnosed.
Mm-hmm. So in case you missed that, any woman can show up, learn about breast cancer in a culturally responsive way, and get screened all on the same day, all in the same place. Not come, hear something, be referred, and maybe she might go, right? Because we talked about that fear. So imagine the trepidation between, maybe you should get tested and actually going to get tested. So all of this can happen all in one space with that love and support there surrounding them. The next one is coming up, Peel Region, Credit Valley Hospital. I can't remember the cross streets. I think that's Erin Mills and Eglinton. If you're in Peel Region in Ontario, Canada. If that's not where you are, reach out to the Olive Branch of Hope. Let us know where you are and where you would like to see a program like this. And then go tell your friends that they need to connect with the Olive Branch of Hope and find all the different ways that they can be supportive of this work, so that we can bring this work to your area. As you've heard Derek mention, and production, I'm going to bring this up on the screen so everyone can see it for themselves. Over at theolivebranch.ca is the website. That's theolivebranch.ca, where you can learn more about these events and these programs, and how you can, one, get help, to be a better support. Join these amazing organizations who have come and created lovely community surrounding the Olive Branch of Hope. If you are a nonprofit organization that can be supportive, if you're a business that can be supportive, you can be listed here so other people can know that you are here to help, that you are here to support your community. You're not just here to gain, but you're here to give as well. And so you want to get to this breast screening event. I'm taking you over to the Eventbrite. If you are watching us live on YouTube or catching us on the replay, just drop below "Empower Her" in the comments if you're watching us on YouTube. And then make sure that you and your friends, if you're in the Toronto area, in the Greater Toronto area, close to Peel Region, on March 1st, I believe that's the date. Yep, March 1st. Make sure that you are there so that you can get that support. Isn't it great to know that you just don't have it? Right? Wouldn't that be a great gift to give to yourself, to just know that you don't have breast cancer? And it's one less thing to worry about because you're willing to actually go and get tested. And you're willing to do that with your friends so that you don't have to be alone and make new friends while you're there, right? I mean, we just told you about a free event, free on-site screening, free information, free lunch, tons of giveaways, and an Afro-Caribbean dance class, and free parking. I mean, the Olive Branch of Hope is putting it all together for you to just make it an easy, simple decision. So now you know what you're doing with your day on March 1st if you're in the Greater Toronto area. And again, if you're not in the Greater Toronto area, go to theolivebranch.ca. Right over here in the right-hand corner, there's a pretty pink button that says donate. You're going to click that button and you are going to give in the memory of and in the name of any woman that you know who is fighting, has fought this battle against breast cancer. Anyone that you will hope in the future will never have to take this journey alone. Give for yourself. Give because you want to do something good and you want to contribute and be a part of this fantastic, amazing movement. I really want to tell you thank you so very much. Natasha from Montreal, merci Natasha. And thank you guys for joining in and letting us know that you're here. Love Bay Radio is going to be a part of this movement, and we are going to support with a 30-second infomercial coming up throughout the rest of the month. So when you're joining us here on Love Bay Radio, your number one African Caribbean diaspora online radio, you will hear more about how you can connect with the Olive Branch of Hope and how you can get this important support that you need here today. Thank you so very much, the Springer family, for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure to host you here today. Thank you all so very much. As we move into more love and we wrap up the final segment of the night, we're coming to you live again from Toronto. And, through Community Come Along, we're telling you to come along and go to this event on March 1st and here for more love. We want to say a special thank you to first-time listener Marie. Sorry, Natasha was from Montreal, so I probably just said your name with a French accent for absolutely no reason. But we want to thank first-time listener Marie from Buffalo, New York, for joining us as well. Thank you for sharing your love. And for being a part of the Love Bay community here. As we mentioned to you just now, Love Bay Radio is about sharing the love within this community, making sure that these conversations, these important conversations, are being brought to us. We're bringing it right to your home as your number one online radio program and station for Afrobeat music, Caribbean music, and talk. This conversation is absolutely important because in Canada alone, 1 in 5 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. 1 in 5 women. And that is based on the people who actually get diagnosed. There's so many, especially within our community, because again, we don't even talk about it. We don't talk about it within our families. We don't talk about it within our wider community. But did you also know that men can develop breast cancer? And did you also know that a man is more likely to succumb to breast cancer than a woman because he is less likely to even be diagnosed? And if he is diagnosed, he's even less likely to actually go and take treatment because of the sexualized stigma attached to a woman's breast and to breast cancer. We as a community need to make sure that we are having these conversations. Thank you, Kim from Toronto. We will definitely make sure that we address this topic again coming up later on in the year. We will absolutely make sure that we address this topic again. I myself, I'm a breast cancer survivor who's received support from the Olive Branch of Hope and continues to support women through the Olive Branch of Hope. And so we want to make sure that all of our families are doing well because we're willing to have the hard conversations, my friends, in our community, in our homes, and with ourselves so that we can end the stigma and bring more hope and more love all around. My friends, this has been Community Conversations here on Love Bay Radio, your number one Afrobeat music, Caribbean music talk radio station. Thank you so very much for joining me. And I can't wait to have more conversation with you. My friends, keep the conversation going.